Hello grammar mates, it's me again, Teacher Ralph, and this is Considerate School online class. For today's topic, I'm so excited. Our topic is about past of be. And this is for the lesson for our grade 4 students. So, are you ready to learn about past of be verbs? I know you can do it. I know you're very excited too. Like me. Good. Okay, past of be. I'm your grammar buddy, Teacher Ralph. For today's lesson, we will use the book Focus on Grammar 2. Past of be. So, what is the past of be? Okay, we have two different verbs to be in the past. So, if it's singular, we have was, and we have also were. Singular and plural. Was and were. Can you say it again? Was for singular and were for plural. Okay, singular, we use the pronouns I, she, he, and it. Can you say it again? I, she, he, and it. For example, for the pronoun I, we'll use I was. Remember, when we use the pronouns I, she, he, and it should be followed with the verbs to be was. Okay, I was, she was, he was, and it was. Okay, and for plural, were. What are the plural pronouns again? Can you remember? Yes, correct. You were, we are, and they are. Okay, singular, I was, he was, and she was. It was. And you were, we were, and they were. Singular. For example, we have the sentence example here. I was hungry. It's affirmative. Okay? We use was. It's affirmative. But it happens in the past. And for the negative, we'll say, I wasn't hungry. It's the negative form of was. Can you say it again? I was hungry. I wasn't hungry. Wasn't comes from the word was not. Can you say again? Was not. For negative form, we do the contractions. So, the contracted form of was not is wasn't. So, the contracted form of was not is wasn't. So, instead of saying I was not hungry, you will answer I wasn't hungry. Okay, next example, he was at school. It's affirmative. To make it a negative form, you add the word not, and it becomes the contraction form. He wasn't at school. Okay, got it? Great. She was. What do you think is the negative form of she was? She was here. She was here. What do you think? Guess? She wasn't here. And it comes from the word she was not here. Got it? Great. It was nice. It wasn't nice. And it was not nice. From the word was not. So for plural, we do the same. We do the same. You were good. And for negative form, we add the word not to make it a negative. And then it becomes you weren't good. Were not. Can you say again? The full form of weren't. Okay, were not becomes weren't. Weren't. We were late. We weren't late. They were early. They weren't early. So it's easy. From the word were not we put a contractions, so it becomes contracted form. For past of be using affirmative question, to make it a question form, affirmative, I was sad. For example, the word here, I was sad. To make it a question form, we use verb to be first, and then the pronoun or the subject, and then the other parts of the statement. So we have here the affirmative, I was sad. What do you think is the form when we use it in the question form? Was comes first, the subject, and the rest of the sentence. So instead of saying, I was sad for the affirmative form, to make it a question, you will say, was I sad? Great, good job. And put the question mark. Don't forget to put the question mark, okay? Great. For singular, was I hungry? To make it a question form, we put was first, and then the subject I, and the rest of the sentence. Question mark. Don't forget to make it a question. And for plural, the same. So you were late. We put the verb to be first. Were you late? Question mark. We were late becomes were we late? Question mark. And they were late becomes were they late? Did you get it? It's easy, right? You just have to put the verb to be first. After the you just have to put the verb to be first. After that, you put the subject or the subject pronoun. If it's affirmative statement, the subject first, and then the verb to be. But for the question form, we put the verb to be first, and then the subject pronouns or the subject. And then don't forget, for question form, should always end with the question mark. Okay? Great. For past of be, short answers. Okay, what are the short answers again? We have yes or no. Yes or no. Singular using the short answers, yes or no. Okay, for example, again, was I hungry? For the positive answer or the affirmative answer, we answer it with yes, I was. And for negative, no, I wasn't. For the next, he was hungry. What do you think is the answer? Yes, he was. And no, he wasn't. Okay? Remember, you will only just have to use the subject pronoun from the question. So the question is, was I hungry? So what again is the verb? What again is the subject pronoun? The subject pronoun is I for letter A, and for B the subject pronoun is he. So if you need to answer, you will answer yes or no, and then the subject pronoun. Okay? And then the verb to be. And the question was I hungry? Wasn't I? So you will say yes, I was, and then no, I wasn't. He becomes yes, he was, and no, he wasn't. Another example for yes or no answers. Okay. Was she hungry? The answer would be yes, she was, and no, she wasn't. Yes, she was, and no, she wasn't. Was it hungry? Yes, it was, and no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Were you hungry? This is for singular you. Okay, remember, singular you uses answer differently with the plural you. Okay, so the question, were you hungry yesterday? So you will answer, yes, I was. This is an exemption, okay, for singular pronoun you. Yes, I was, and no, I wasn't. But for plural, you will say, were you hungry? For example, you are have a friend. Were you hungry, you and your friend, yesterday? Yes, we were, and the answer for negative, we say no, we weren't. Let's have a game activities. So number 1, let's try to know if you use different kinds of past verb to be. For example, we have here was, were, and weren't. What do you think is the answer? It. Is it a donut? Yes, the one we ate yesterday. Was it a donut? Yes. Correct. Yes, it was a donut. It was a donut. Okay? That is a donut. It wasn't, were, or weren't. I know you know the answer. No, teacher. No, teacher. It was a dog. So what will be your answer? It is what? It's a dog. So what do you think? It wasn't a cat. Teacher, it wasn't a cat. So we have a singular. It wasn't a cat. So you can answer it was not, or you can also contract the answer it wasn't. It wasn't. It was not. It wasn't. So you can also contract it using the contracted form of was not. It wasn't a cat. It wasn't a cat. So it was a dog. Another example here. They blank eating. They blank eating. For affirmative, you will say, are they eating? What are they doing? They, because they were plural. This happens a long time ago with my friends. So we'll say, they were what? They were eating. They were eating. You will not say, they jumping? Are they jumping? No. You will answer, they were not. They were not jumping. What are they doing? They were eating. They weren't jumping. They were eating. Okay, for book exercise, please open your books on page number 12. Page number 12. Okay, unit number 3, past of be, was, or were. Exercise number 1. Let's choose an affirmative and negative statement. So we will answer it with the verbs to be, was, or were. So remember, if it's singular, we will use the verb to be was, and for plural, we will use the verb to be were. Okay, I blank on time for work every day. I blank on time for work every day. What do you think is the verb to be should be used? Yes, I know you can do it. It's singular. You have the pronoun I. So the answer was So the answer is was. My work, blank, perfect. My work. Is it a singular? My work. Yes, it's a singular. So we will use singular form of be verb was. My co-worker. My co-worker. How many people are there? If you put my co-workers, it's a plural. But if it's singular, my co-worker. So what do you think is the answer? Huh? My coworker blank sad. But if you put s there, my coworkers, what do you think is the answer? But in number 3, my coworker, the answer is was. But if you put s, my coworkers were sad. If your answer in number 3, if your subject is in plural form. Okay, it depends on your subjects. Okay, next. Number 4, my customers. My customers. My customers, blank, happy with my work. We have a plural form of subjects. My customers. So we use the verb to be were. My customers were happy. And lastly, for number 5, I, singular, becomes I was very hard working. Great. Get it? Did you get it? Great. Okay, let's try to answer also page number 12, exercise number 1, letter B. Change positive to negative statement, okay? So, number 1, we have here a positive or affirmative statement like Jack was on time every day. So we have a word here in the parentheses saying he's late. He's not really on time. So how we change a positive to negative? How we change affirmative to negative? So Jack was on time every day. We will put the word not. Okay. Can you put not on the sentence? Jack was not on time every day. Correct. We put not on the sentence, so Jack is not really on time. In the parentheses, we say late. So we will make a sentence at the end saying that Jack is not really on time every day. We have here the word in the parentheses that he's saying he is late, so we will say he was late. Okay? Did you get it? It's a affirmative statement. Jack was on time every day. Put a parenthesis saying he's late. So we put Jack was with not to make it a negative form. Jack was not on time every day. And then we put additional statement that he was late. Okay? Great. Okay, number 2. Number 2. His work was perfect. But we have here the word in parentheses that it is terrible. It's not perfect. So, again, we put his work was perfect. We put the word not to make it into a negative. So, instead of saying his work was perfect, we will say his work was not perfect. So you can also use contractions saying his work wasn't perfect. Let's see. His work was not perfect. So, and then we make a new sentence that it was a actually terrible work because it happens already in the past. His work was perfect, but we put the parenthesis terrible, so we will answer it. His work was not perfect. It wasn't perfect, and it was terrible. Okay? Let's have a recap. For singular past of be verb, again, we will use I was, she was, and he was. It was. So again, we have the negative form added with a word not. I was not, she was not, and so on. But for contracted form, we use I wasn't, she wasn't, and he wasn't, it wasn't. For plural form, we will use you were, we were not, they were not. For contracted form, you weren't, they weren't, and they weren't. We have here also another recap. For our recap, singular, so we will just change the subject with our verb to be. Instead of saying I was hungry, was I hungry? So you will answer the question now with yes, I was, no, I wasn't. He was hungry, was he hungry? You will answer it with yes, he was, and no, he wasn't. Okay, so on. She was hungry, it was hungry. To make into a question form, you will transfer again the verb to be, was and where in the first part of the sentence, and then you added it with the subject and then the rest of the sentence. So after that, if it becomes a question, you will answer it with yes or no. Short answers like yes, she was, or no, she wasn't, yes, it was, and no, it wasn't. Okay, understood? Up next, we will have a further discussion about yes, no questions, WH questions, also with the similarities and differences of present and past be verbs. Okay? If you have more questions, try to have a comment down here. Or if you like this video, make a like. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, and have a good day. Bye. See you again next time.